All right, guys, we're going to wrap up with our own Guardians talk here. ESPN predicted its American League All-Stars in 2026. The Guardians had 2, José Ramírez and Cade Smith. But if I set the line at 1.5, Jay Crawford, 1.5 All-Stars for the Guardians this year. Mm-hmm. Shake the over or the under?
I'm going to take the over.
Is it the 2 that the ESPN predicted, or would someone else slide into that place?
A couple of years ago, David Fry was an All-Star, right? How many
correct.
people in April of that year said, I got David Fry as an All-Star?
G. Bush was the
By
only
the way,
one.
David Fry yesterday made 2 incredible defensive plays. One was a foul tip that he hung on to for strike 3 that he had to it was I couldn't believe he made the catch. The other one was he shot down a runner for Colorado, and I can't remember who it was, but it was one of their speedsters. He did not look like he had Tommy John. His arm is on point, as strong as I've ever seen it. So yes, I think Jose is kind of a rubber stamp. I think that Cade Smith has a very, very good chance to be an All-Star this year. But here's what we don't know. Kwan is a very good player who's been an All-Star in the past and has had some borderline All-Star seasons also. Manzardo looks like he could be a breakout candidate to make an All-Star team this year. 27 home runs last year. He spent some time in the minors last year. Didn't they send him down for a while? Was that Manzardo?
Yeah.
I feel like he was sent down for a stretch.
No, I don't think he was sent down. He just wasn't playing every day.
Okay. I think he can hit 35 home runs this year. I've got him for 35 home runs. The other thing is, I just think it's so hard to predict. You don't know who's going to emerge. You don't know who's going to have a great first half of the season and make the All-Star game. The one thing that I will say, and I'm looking forward to going, I leave next Monday, I'll be in Goodyear. And the one thing that I'm most interested, maybe Zach talked about it on the show, I don't know. Somebody put a high priority on body shaping over the season, over the offseason. Brian Rocchio looks like he hasn't left the gym. Brian Rocchio's upper half looks like it belongs to someone else.
I had heard Manzardo.
Manzardo looks completely reshaped.
And Angel Martinez were the 2 that looked. I hadn't heard Rocchio. I'd heard Martinez and
Look
Manzardo.
specifically. Oh, Schneemann.
Yeah.
Daniel Schneemann looks like he's 20 pounds heavier, and it's all in his upper torso. And so I bring that up to say this. I think that, it's not a mystery that the Guardians can't hit home runs. And in today's baseball, if you can't hit home runs, you're not winning. Period, full stop. And I think that somebody in the front office, and I'm anxious to talk to Antonetti and others to see if this was this an individual thing or was this like a team guidance thing where they said, look, we want everybody that can to put on 10, 15 pounds.
20 years ago, Jay, this would have been a very tough thing for
Listen, I know there would have, because everybody would have said, take a test.
Daniel Schneemann is just an Adonis from the waist up.
What kind of horse testicles have you been taking?
Wait till you see Daniel
Shedeur Sanders sent him that horse head.
wait until you see Daniel Schneemann and Brian Rocchio. I'm telling you, these guys they're unrecognizable to me. I mean, now I don't want to make it seem like they're ripped. They're not.
I'm like, dang.
But it's a big enough. When you weigh 180 and you gain 20, it's
very noticeable.
That is very noticeable. That's 10 pounds or that's 10% of your body weight.
Especially if you was a base stealer before, and now all of a sudden you a middle infielder and you got 20 pounds. Like you over 20, you 200 now.
The one thing I noticed yesterday, I watched the Rockies game, and the lineup was almost all lefties. It was almost all lefties. Daniel Schneemann against a lefty ripped the ball down the right field line for a double. Like, I think that there were 2 so far just by looking. I mean, we'll find out when I get down there. I think that there was a real emphasis on the left-handed bats in this lineup to do what Josh Naylor did a couple years ago. Go into the lab and recreate yourself. Put the pitching machine, instead of having it throw straight down the middle, move it 8 inches to the right and angle the ball so it hits the outer left half of the plate. And then you can move it so it hits the inner right half of the plate. And I know I've done that in a machine that was movable for right-handed pitching. And like anything else, it's all relative. When you first see the ball coming from 6 feet from the middle of the rubber, you're like, oh my God, that's going to hit me. Mm-hmm. And you feel like you're facing Randy Johnson when Randy used to come with all those arms and like you didn't know what to expect. And I probably swung and missed at the first 8 pitches. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this. But the more you do it, the more it becomes routine, especially if you know it's coming from that angle. You know that.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to be a fastball or an off-speed pitch. But these guys are professionals, and they work on stuff like this in the offseason. So I would have challenged all of them because we're a slight team. We've got a lot of guys who look like Steven Kwan.
Yeah.
And by the way, I didn't notice a huge difference in his body. And some guys just can't put on weight. I went through a period in my life where I couldn't put on weight no matter how many calories I consumed in a day. I couldn't gain an ounce. But you can get better at certain things, and I think whatever Josh Naylor did, it worked. And it almost became his strength because he wasn't expected to hit that well against left-handed. You want to play every day, and who doesn't? And they made this point during the telecast. I think it was because it was the radio team. I think it was Rosie that said it, but it could have been Hamilton. Said, who doesn't want to play every day? Everybody wants to play every day. But this is a case of careful what you wish for. Because when you play 162, you break down.
Yeah.
You're going to break down a lot more than if you're platooning and playing 110.
The question about the All-Star is, Jason, are they going to have enough at-bats and enough time? Because a lot of these guys might be splitting, especially in the outfield and right field and first base.
I hope that they're not platooning. I'm
done with
it. Over the platooning.
I hate it.
It's health more than platoon for me. If Valera and DeLauder are healthy, they got to play every day. I want them in the lineup every single day.
I do too.
And when you look at potential all-stars, it's Hosey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cade Smith, that's an easy one. Relievers, if you're top of saves, a lot of times you go. I think Manzardo is a great pick for all-star. Gavin Williams and Tanner Bibee at the top of the rotation. Bibee had a really disappointing year last year. I think this is a big year for him. And
yeah, I do.
I said last week, he's got the contract. How big of a year could it be, really? He's already got guaranteed money. But I mentioned it before, I just think he was messing with his pitch mix a lot last year. Hopefully that he was able to look at the offseason, look at all the data, see what works, see what doesn't. What doesn't is his four seam. He doesn't have an overpowering four seam fastball.
No, he does not.
He's got really good secondary pitches. So if he leans into that, I've always been really high on Tanner, probably higher than I should be. But I'm going to hang in there again this year and say that he's a guy who could be an all-star candidate for him. So, and then there's always guys that come out of nowhere. I'm really bullish on Joey Cantillo. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star.
Right.
I think Joey Cantillo, he's off to a rough start this spring. I just like his velo and being a lefty. I think he's in line for a big year too.
Got a great changeup too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to predict all-stars. Like I said with David Fry, I mean, nobody would have, in their right mind, would have said that he's going to be an all-star. He looked really good behind the plate. I'm interested to see how the catcher position pans out this year because I think this is probably it for Bo Naylor.
Yeah, he's got to hit.
He has got to be more productive at the plate.
With Fry being healthy now and able to throw.
Yeah, he looked great. He uncorked one yesterday that you'd never guessed he was Tommy John.
He got that Tommy John velo increase.
Man, he had it. It is there. It was a beautiful throw. He got out from behind the plate in a hurry. It was a perfect on-the-money throw. The runner slid right into it. It was bang, bang, but it was a great release, great velo on the throw. I'm super excited. I always say this. I get blinders on because I love baseball so much, and I'm so happy that it's back.
Yeah.
I always squint and see things that aren't there. And I know they're not there. But, I just hope against hope sometimes that this is one of those magical years where they get more production out of everybody than they thought. The Valero thing, I watch his at-bats. It's so intoxicating, Jason.
His swing is phenomenal.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. He just can't stay healthy.
I know.
With both of those guys.
I know. DeLauder, I love
health.
both.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and I wish I could have seen it one more time. They put Kwan in center yesterday, and there was a ball that I thought he should have had. I think he lost it in the sun because the first movement was here, and that slows you down because he's turning to run, and his first thing was here, and I think he was trying to block the sun because it can be wonky in Goodyear.
Yeah, it'll be an adjustment for him with angles and with everything else. But
But imagine if DeLauder and Valero play and can stay healthy and play well, and we can put a Gold Glover in center field. My God.
And he may not be a Gold Glover in center, and that's okay.
He's not. He won't be.
and that's fine.
But yeah, that's fine.
He'll be above average.
One of the most
His stock has gone down.
most underrated aspects of a baseball player. If you put a civilian, like first thing, if you go in an NBA stadium and you have to shoot a 3-pointer, you realize how far the 3-point line is back
and how good those guys are.
And you'd be like, oh, that's crazy. But you put a regular civilian in the outfield and hit them a fly ball.
Oh, nothing goes straight.
Like
everything has a tail.
Yep.
Just to judge where the ball is. Like they
Yeah.
hit the baseball, you got to judge it within like 0.2 seconds to even know where it's hit.
Yeah.
Let alone
it's a
catch it in the
skill set.
air.
It's a skill set. You know, Miles Straw was great at it. Contact off the bat.
Yeah.
Knowing, do you have to come in? Do you have to
Getting
come out? Because
jumps.
if your first step is the wrong step, it's probably a hit.
And you have to take angles, and you have to judge the velocity of the baseball in the air while you're
not
tracking. It's like, I mean, I don't know if it's more difficult than, catching a football when somebody's trying to tackle you is pretty hard too. But I mean, baseball is just weird because you can miss it in the sun. The ball is white. It's it's weird. Shadows, all the
it's
above.
really difficult. Really difficult. I do think that if I had to bet on that, I would definitely take the over. Because to your point, I didn't even get to the rotation. I know you mentioned
Right.
them. There's a strong likelihood one of those guys will have a good first half.
I would think so.
And will be named to the team. So
If it was 2.5, would you take the over?
I don't think I'd take
take.
two and a half. No.
we-
I
we
figured
can't do that.
everyone would take the under if I made the line at 2.5.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wasn't
would
sure
take
if
the
everyone
under.
would take the
Yes.
over.
Three's
at
tough.
1.5.
I mean, there's not a lot of
There's-
teams that put 3 All-Stars.
You got to be a first place team, and you got to be
Tigers, Dodgers, Mets.
Yeah, you
and
got-
the thing is, like with Hosey, I said he's rubber stamped because a lot of this is popularity. When guys are voting in Milwaukee, they're looking at the players. They're like, oh, well, hell, Jose's always a great,
Right.
even if he's having a bad year. We've seen that a million times where
Right.
players are having bad years, but they
Yeah.
get voted in on reputation. If you look at the Mets and the Dodgers rosters, there's 4 or 5 guys on
know.
there that you would say, oh, they're all-stars.
Yeah.
But are they? You know,
And
I don't know.
plus, it sucks because you playing in April, man. Like in Cleveland, you're not hitting bombs in April. It's cold. The pitching staff may not even be warmed up. Heck, they don't even come back really to Cleveland until where they gonna start this year? Seattle.
Well, I think
Oakland,
their
they
first,
always-
is it their first 6 that's on the road, and then we come home. But then it's brief, and then we go for another
And
long.
The park does play differently in April than it does in June.
Dramatically different.
Yeah,
man,
Yeah.
that-
Well, the
that
ball
place
just
be-
travels differently.
It'd be cold.
In 50 degrees compared to 90 degrees.
Them opening days, you have.
I can't wait for
long
baseball, though.
sleeves, all of it.
I am so excited for baseball, and I love that Stephen Vogt said what he said last year. We want to win the whole thing. It's our goal to win the World Series.
It'll be the last World Series for 17 years. During
okay.
The work stoppage that is looming.
Yeah,
it's going to be the
coming.
last World Series
Did you
for a
see
while.
what the proposed? I don't even know if this was proposed. Someone reported what they thought the cap, floor, and ceiling would be.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It was
It was a
between,
gigantic gap if the one I saw was the same.
well,
one
and
you
there will
saw.
be a gigantic gap. But I think it was the one I saw said that the floor would be between 140 and 160, which I welcome.
Yeah.
And the cap would be, I think, 260 or 280.
Hold on. So what are the Dolans gonna do? You gonna take out a loan, bro? Because if the floor is 140 and you spending like 50 or 60,
No, they'll end up spending 90 this year. When it's all said and done.
They gonna do. That's
Won't they, Jay?
Yeah. I think they'll
Yeah.
be around.
So they.
So what are they going to do?
So you still
You know
owe
what they're
50.
gonna
That's
do?
50 more million.
My keys are in the car. Here, David Blitzer. There you go.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
what they're gonna do.
And that may well be why the Dolans are, selling that. Somebody said to me yesterday,
yeah,
I was talking to a
150.
friend about the game. He was watching it too, and he calls them the Dolan discounts.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right. By then, it won't be Dolan's problem. It'll be Blitzer's problem. But I say problem, but it's not a problem, and here's why. They can almost pay that with their revenue from TV.
Absolutely. Well,
So
they can pay it from the league office. Like
Yes.
with all the revenue streams from the league office and revenue sharing and everything else.
And gee, that's
nobody
before-
will ever convince me that their payroll isn't covered by.
Atlanta
Baseball.
next year. I wish ask Bull about this week. There is something going on in the sale with the Braves where they have committed to, or they've been ordered. I can't remember what it was, and it could have been a divorce. Maybe it's an asset in a divorce. I'm not sure what it is. I know Bull will know. I've heard and read a little bit about this. But next year, the Braves are going to disclose their financials. This is groundbreaking, guys.
Yeah.
This is earth-shattering.
How did
And
this happen? Like
They don't have to report. They're publicly or they're privately oowned companies.
But it's in a divorce proceeding, so they want to know
Listen,
the assets, right?
I shouldn't have said that.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I know this. The Braves have to show their financials next
Some
year.
way, somehow. Okay.
And that's going to be the linchpin to all of this changing. Because right now, the owners are sitting on a mountain of money that we don't know how big it is. We don't know what it is because they don't disclose it. And the union for years has been trying to say, they've been saying, open your books. Let us see your books.
What body are they showing this to?
I believe it's something court related. It's going to be made public.
So it has to be
That's all I
legal,
know.
so they can't fudge the numbers.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
So I think the reason that's going to change is it's going to put the onus on these small market teams that cry small market, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati to a lesser extent,
Miami.
Cleveland, Miami.
gonna
And Miami's
find out.
not even a small market, but they have all said, we don't have the cash. We're a smaller market. We don't have a deal like the Dodgers have. The Dodgers TV deal is ridiculous and how much money they make. So what this is going to do when the Braves are a mid to large market squad, and they spend money, but when they release their numbers, it's going to send shockwaves through the game one way or another. I think it's going to be higher than we've ever imagined. And what that's going to do is put the onus clearly on teams like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, even Detroit, Kansas City. Guys, do you know St. Louis is probably one of the best baseball towns in the United States? I'd say they're top 3
Oh, for sure.
in fan base. They are below the Guardians this coming year in payroll.
How?
They may be dead last. I saw, because that number always changes. I saw a list that had I think it had the Cardinals 28th or 27th.
We got
They were
super chats,
below
so
the.
I'll try to find it for overtime.
Now think about this. This is a Tiffany, a cornerstone of Major League Baseball. What they've said is, we can't compete with this. We've got competitors that are spending $4 for every dollar we spend. So we're just not going to spend.
I don't understand.
And when you lose a city like St. Louis,
Yeah.
that's a cornerstone. That's whenever St. Louis is in the playoffs, it's always one of the best ratings that you've ever seen in postseason because they go to games, they love the sport, they watch the games on TV. They're very knowledgeable baseball fans. And basically the front office in St. Louis has said, we give.
Yeah.
So it's coming, a floor and a ceiling, and I think that's going to change dramatically the way we watch baseball.